Right. So, so the first thing I recommend people do is create an avatar, which is a a fake person who is their ideal prospect. So you think about, if everyone's searching for a particular keyword, a lot of those people are not your prospect, either because their needs are different than what you provide, or they're out of your price range, or they're never going to believe you, or they're right-wing Republicans and you're a progressive Democrat, and that comes across on your site, and there's just not going to be a
Hmm.
connection. Whatever it is, most people are disqualified. So there are ways in which you can attract your ad can attract your ideal prospect and repel or be invisible to everybody else, because it's very easy to be invisible, right? All you have to do is not be answering the question, what's in it for me? And then people don't even see it. So the idea is to think about who is your ideal prospect and then turn them into a person. Because I don't know how to write an ad to a demographic, but I know how to write to an individual, just like writing a letter. So you kind of think, so who is this person? So for example, someone, I don't know, give me a keyword. We can do a
Yeah,
real
I'm
example
just
rather
I'm
than just
actually I'm actually
hypothetical.
on Google right now. I was just as you were speaking, I was thinking I'm going to put in help with AdWords. Help me with AdWords and see what comes up. But do you have a keyword that comes to mind?
Um, well, I've had
Let's use snowmobile because it's cold up
stuff
here.
I've
Yeah, let's
We'll
pick
use
snowmobile. All
snowmobile.
right, snowmobile.
snowmobile.
Okay, so
Okay,
plug that one in South
so
Africa. It'd be
so
interesting to see what comes
I'll
up
take
down there. So I see. Okay,
right.
so the advertising I'm seeing here is 2012 Ski-Doo snowmobiles. Skidoo.com. That's the headline. Under it is the website, and discover the powerful and fuel-efficient lineup of Rotax engines. So that's the only ad that shows up.
Okay, so let's talk about the person who types in
Mhm.
snowmobile, and let's think about so we have a business that sells snowmobiles, right? Or I'm guessing that's what we're thinking of, right? As opposed to lessons
Yeah,
or
yeah. Let's
service
go down that
or
path.
right. Okay, so I would ask that business owner, tell me who your ideal prospect is. Someone who, if they, if you met them on the street or you overheard them in a bar, you'd say, "Oh my God, you've got to work with me. You're perfect for me." So it's someone who sort of has the same need as you have, has the same budget that matches what you have, buys whatever difference. They think however you're different from everyone else is meaningful to them. They trust you. There's some sort of identity connection. And say, so tell me who that person is. And at first they'll say, well, it's a man in his 30s. That's roughly when they get the age when they snowmobile. I say, okay, what's his name? And they go, what? So, right, because they don't know the answer because they're
Yep.
making it up. But what something interesting starts happening when so they generally say, Bob or Dan or Joe. Very often they're first one-syllable names. So let's say it's Joe. So how old is Joe? And they'll say, well, 30 to 40. Say, nobody's 30 to 40.
Pick a
You
number.
know, people are 20. All right, he's
Yeah.
33. So you want to kind of get to specifics. What's important? What's important to Joe? What does he like to do? Well, he likes to snowmobile. What else? He watches baseball. He's a hockey fan. What team? Yeah, you sort of start collecting information about Joe based on what you know about your customers or what you imagine, because based on looking at Google and seeing what Google suggests that person is, and you start to figure out like what matters to Joe. So, for example, I was doing this work with a guy who sold water tanks, in the American heartland. And we determined that his ideal customer is probably like a, Fox News watching conservative, Republican, American patriot. And I said, well, where are your tanks made? He said, oh, these tanks are too big to come from China. They're made in the States. And I said, really? So why don't you put proudly made in the USA in your ad? Because nobody else is doing it. So arguably, that has nothing to do with the quality of your water tank or why you'd need a water tank, but it touches on an emotional hot button, and it makes you stand out from everyone else, all of whose stuff is also made in the USA. But when you name a truth, you preempt it.
Wow.